American pastor Saeed Abedini marked a sad anniversary. 2 years in an Iranian prison because of his Christian faith. Christians around the globe have been praying and calling for his release. His wife Naghmeh has led the fight, but as she told CBN Charlene Aaron, the journey has been long and painful.
When Naghmeh Abedini married the love of her life, she never dreamed they would ever be apart.
I'd never dated before Saeed, and he was my everything. And I processed everything with him, my best friend.
Saeed Abedini, an Iranian-born pastor and U.S. citizen, is serving 8 years in one of Iran's worst prisons for doing nothing more than preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ. The Iranian government also calls him a national security threat for openly practicing his faith outside of their country. While in prison, Abedini has endured torture and threats from guards and fellow inmates. He has also suffered from internal bleeding and other health issues, but prison officials have denied him proper medical attention. Now, 2 years later, he faces yet another threat inside the prison walls from members of the terror group ISIS.
They've been beheading Christians all over Iraq and Syria. And here's someone who converted from Islam. And he's an American citizen, and so they want his life in that prison. So it's been really intense for him in that prison.
Saeed's parents can visit him once a week, but he has not been able to call his wife back home in the U.S.
My heart cries because it misses Daddy.
It's a painful reality for Naghmeh and the couple's 2 young children.
I pray that they'll come back home, but he's still not back home.
My son was 4 and my daughter was 5. My daughter just turned 8, so this was her 3rd birthday without him. But looking at them and realizing, especially when I heard the 8-year sentence, thinking, they're going to be teenagers. And I never imagined, just too painful to realize my kids will grow up without their dad. And it's been a painful journey. I've had a lot of emotional days.
My name is Naghmeh Abedini.
Naghmeh has turned that pain into a crusade for her husband's release. She has taken her case to both the United Nations and the U.S. Congress. She says at times she feels abandoned by her country.
There has been no efforts to get him out outside of a few statements here and there. I really do believe that Iran, if there's incentive, they will release him if someone's stern with him.
The UN recently issued a report on Abedini's case, in which it strongly condemned Iran and called for his release. First, Saeed and his wife felt bitterness against Iran. Now, Naghmeh prays for her husband's captors, and that God would use Saeed's story for his glory, even if that means she never sees him again.
It's been really this tense moment where my eyes have to be on Jesus. And every day, if I turn it to Iranian government and what they're saying or our government, I will fall. I can't look at who's saying what and who's doing what for Saeed. I just have to look at Jesus.
Because Saeed believes in forgiveness of sin through Jesus Christ.
One positive result of her journey, a unique platform to share the gospel.
Just all over the world, to sitting across from ambassadors to government officials, and each time telling them that Jesus is the answer.
It's a message Saeed also shares even while in chains. She says his letters tell of how he hugs those who persecute him and leads Muslims to Christ.
He's in the darkest place, and he's sharing Christ where they would never have a chance to hear about Christ if he wasn't there. I've heard that some of the prisoners have said, I don't feel in prison anymore. I feel free because I found Christ.
She says while her heart aches for her husband's safe return, his story is strengthening the body of Christ around the world. More than 460 prayer vigils in 30 countries will mark this anniversary, with a specific focus on the persecuted church.
We're coming together and praying, and it's amazing. What our governments are doing, our government and the Iranian government, means nothing to me. My eyes are on the Lord, and that's where Saeed's deliverance will come from. And that's why this day of prayer is so important to me.
That's why Naghmeh says she will keep trusting and believing.
I have to take it to the Lord and say, I want my husband, but home soon now, but even if something happens to him, I'll be okay. You're a good God, like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and saying, God will deliver me, but even if he doesn't. And I had to, I guess, sacrifice my Isaac and say, I give it to you, I give my future, my life to you, and whatever happens, I'm going to be okay.
She's confident that Saeed would agree.
Just knowing Saeed, that his chains are causing people to be saved, or I know that he would say it's worth it. If I die in this cell, it's worth it. And that's what keeps us going, is knowing that it's for Jesus. He paid the price for our sin, and he deserves our life.
Charlene Aaron, CBN News, Boise, Idaho.